Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome. So glad to have you with us this morning. We are glad to be here. We want you guys to give us a thumbs up, put something in the chat to let us know where you're watching from. And also, we want you to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you just hanging out with us this morning. We have a very special guest this morning. I am super excited to speak with her. But first, we want to run through just a few of our announcements. Of course, we are here to talk about our all-night prayer that is coming up. So we want to encourage you all to come. All-night prayer happening April the 25th and through the 26th, starting at 6 p.m., going to 6 a.m. You see all those people there on this flyer? They're going to be praying at some point during that time. And so we want you to be a part of what is happening. I'll put up another flyer. Go ahead and screenshot that so you'll have the address and the basic information. That Friday, we're starting at 6 p.m., going until 6 a.m. on Saturday. For the first time this year, we are partnering with the church, Macedonia Church of Augusta, and we are super duper excited about that. Now, you all know, if you've been following this platform, that we have been interviewing people concerning the all-night prayer, but we've got more interviews coming up. One this morning, of course, and then later on this evening, we are going to be talking to Minister Candace Montre Roberts. She is a psalmist, just sings in the spirit, and is just a wonderful person. And so we want to just talk to her this evening at 7:30 p.m. right here on this platform. So make sure you might mark that. And we are also talking tomorrow to Doctors Perry and Brenda Scott. They are pastors over Restoration Ministries in Atlanta, and then also Harvest Time Church in Toledo, Ohio. And we are interviewing them on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. So we want you to be in the house for that. Now, none of this would be difficult for all of this to be possible without our supporters and sponsors. So we want to thank Better Choices for being a sponsor for All Night Prayer. Dr. Faye Hargrove, betterchoices.guru is where you can find her. But we want to say thank you for being a sponsor for All Night Prayer this year. We also want to thank the Harvey Family Group. They provide in-home care, and they are celebrating with us and congratulating us on this being our 4th year. We're excited about that. So we thank them for also sponsoring with us. Also, we want to thank the preaching executive, that is Danielle Hayes, actually Pastor Danielle Hayes, thepreachingexecutive.com. Anything you need to do to put your ministry together to take it to the next level, she's your girl. So go ahead and give her a call and write down that website so that you can see all that she offers. And she has some dynamic things that she does offer. And we also want to thank New Nation Worship Center. They are also sponsoring, helping us to sponsor All Night Prayer this year. And we want to say thank you to them for just undergirding us. Now, if you did not get a text message on us coming live, you can be a part of our text community. Screenshot this, send a text message with the word community. It's KOMMUNITY to the number 866-939-6096. And you will get a text message each and every time we do something and when we go live. All right, without further ado, we want to bring to the stage our very special guest this morning. One person who I've known for many years. She is very dear to my heart, and she has a lot in her. I mean, a whole lot, and a lot that she gives out. She gives out to so many people, and so we just want to say that we love her and we appreciate her. I want to bring to the stage Dr. Rosetta Parker, who is here. Parker Austin, sorry about that. Dr. Rosetta Parker Austin, who is here with us this morning. Good morning to you. Oh, I'm sorry, I put you on mute. Oh, I keep doing that. There we go. All right, we're gonna start over. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing, Dr. Kim, Pastor Kim?
Okay. Okay, I'll take that. I'm doing well. I am so glad that you are here. And let me explain too to our viewers. Dr. Austin, of course, is a prayer warrior, is a dynamic teacher, is a preacher, and has her doctorate. I'll let her tell you about that. But one of the reasons that she's here this morning with us is because she and her husband started an organization called Watchman House. And each year during all night prayer, we give monetary donations to nonprofit organizations. Last year, we chose two. You can find that on our website. We have pictures of that check presentation and of that. Or so this year, we chose two different organizations to give monetary donations to from that night. And Watchman House is one of those organizations. And so, Dr. Austin, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then we want to talk about Watchman House. And of course, we want to talk about prayer, your personal prayer life, and then why it's important for us to pray in community together. So let's start out with you. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, kind of your background, educational wise, and just kind of what you're doing now.
Hi, okay. Well, my name is Rosetta Parker Austin. I chose to hyphenate my last name in honor of my dad. So that's why my last name is hyphenated. I have my PhD in counselor education and supervision. I have numerous degrees. I have two bachelors, two associates, an associate of applied science. So well, I have more degrees than a thermometer. It takes. I have quite a few degrees. And the only reason I have all of those degrees is because everything was pointed towards Watchman House. I am a mother to three adult children. Mika, who is married to Johnny Crawford. Uh, Shamika, no, Sharice, we call her Treese. She is single, happily single. And then our son, Sterling Savage Austin, and he is happily single. Neither one of them want to get married at this point. So we have one grandson. His name is Jay. And most people know me because I have a lot of children around me all of the time. We have over 15 godchildren. They are amazing and they are a source of joy in my life. And so family for me, family is everything. So okay, I'm a wife, a mother, a doctor, and I'm a founder of another two nonprofits, Watchman Houses, which we will talk about today. And I have my own personal business, which is Zeta Zoe LLC, which it has two components. One is event planning, and the other is counseling, where I do a lot of pro bono counseling in the community because there's such a need in our community for mental health.
Wow.
And
And
I'm
that's,
retired military. And I'm about to be a retired federal employee as of July 31st this year.
oh, wow. Wow. That is a lot. That is a lot, a lot. How in the world do you keep it all together?
Prayer. Well, honestly, prayer and just keeping God first and just a listening ear to when He says move, I move.
I love that so much. You mentioned your prayer life. Talk about why that is so important. Um, Prayer for you. You said that's the foundation that helps you keep things together. But I know you don't just have a prayer life where you don't just pray in the car. You don't just pray in the shower. I mean, you have an intense prayer life. Talk about how it's gone to next level and why it's so important.
Well, one of the things I have on my phone is there are seven prayer watches. So I'm praying at the top of every prayer watch. And that's one of the things I do. And so it's key to be targeted because a lot of times we pray, but we're praying outside of the season or outside of the watch area because the angels are assigned to us as ministering angels. So it's important that whatever I pray during their watch. It's kind of like when somebody shows up for work. So you give them instructions. So to pray outside of the work hours is just hanging out there. So I pray within the work hours, which is the different prayer watches. That makes my interesting at night. Sometimes when that prayer watch goes off at 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., that gets interesting because I know you had that 5 a.m., but I'm like, I just was up at 3. But the prayer watches are important for me and they are a sense of they keep me grounded because I have so many things going on. and I'm in so many different organizations that if I don't hear from God, I will be saying it.
Wow. Wow. I want to get back to prayer in a second, but you also mentioned about what your degree is in mental health. And I think people have, it's become more common to talk about mental health and how we need to take care of our mental health, especially since COVID, since 2020. It's become more prevalent. Talk about people who are, and I know this is a broad question, but just kind of give us a little cliff notes on how can people, I don't know, prioritize their mental health or recognize that they need help and who should they go to? Because it's such a stigma in certain communities.
It is. And I will start with everything is not a demon. And so we first have to get past that, and it is not a sign of weakness to get help. Actually, it takes a lot of strength to be willing to admit that you need assistance from somebody on the outside. For the religious community, I tend to say let's practice CPR. If you can't cast it out, pray it out, then refer it out because it may be a matter of just a prescription to balance certain imbalances in the brain. And so once you balance those imperfections in the brain, that person is perfectly normal. And we tend to say, oh, but God, Jesus is my doctor and he provides all my prescriptions. And that's why he gave you doctors so they can help you provide those prescriptions. You wouldn't tell somebody who's diabetic not to take their medicine. You wouldn't tell somebody who's going through cancer to not go through treatment. The same thing applies to mental health. We just have to stop seeing it as, oh, it's all just in your mind. No, because some things may be a matter of how the chemicals are flowing within your body. And once you tap into a good therapist, now there's not one size fit all. Just because somebody says I'm a mental health therapist, that does not mean that's the person for you. You find out, you go to your first session, you do your intake, and if that person doesn't jive, move on to the next person. There's websites you can go to look up counselors. And I would say, most importantly, go to your state licensing website and find out who is still actively holding a license because the word counseling is a protected term. And so we have a lot of people who say they provided counseling that isn't they're using it illegally because it is a protected term. And when you go to your website, you can find out who is meeting the state requirements because it's not just a one time get my license and I'm good forever. We are required to have training. And we have to turn in, sometimes you get audited and you have to turn in training every 2 years. I'm licensed in Georgia and South Carolina, so I have two states that I'm responsible to, and I'm a counselor supervisor. So I have additional requirements. And if I do counseling over the internet or the telephone, I have additional requirements. So you want to go to your state website and find out who's following the rules. That way, you're not getting a clinician who's not up to date with their credentials. But like I said, it's not a one size fits all. I apologize. Uh,
No, that's good. I did not know that. That is so good. Okay. We're going to let her do that. But yeah, if you do need counseling, like she just mentioned, make sure you go to your state's website. That is the best resource. And then you can find out, as she mentioned, who is up to date with what they need in order to make sure they are able to care for you appropriately. So thank you for that. Had no idea. Had no idea.
yes, ma'am. And then one thing I would say
Can you tell
is
us
don't
a little bit about, go ahead.
one thing I would say is don't get locked into If you're a female, don't get locked into you only need a female counselor. Now, if it is a sexual trauma or domestic violence, then I would advise if you're a female to have a female counselor, but or male vice versa. If you are male who's had sexual trauma, because they do have sexual trauma as well, I would advise you to go into counseling with an open mind and understand that the counselor may not look like you or have your ethnicity to be your best counselor.
Really? Why would you say
Yeah.
that? Just out of curiosity.
For example, my every counselor is required to have a counselor because we take on so much. You are supposed to offload. So that's another question to ask when you go to your first counseling meeting. Do you have a counselor? And if they say no, that means they're pocketing everything they receive. So I would be a little hesitant. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying you want to make sure that your counselor has a counselor because that outside counselor makes sure that your counselor has a is not carrying extra baggage when they come into your sessions or making sure that they are in good standing mentally so that they're properly able to assist you. And so that's one of the things you want to ask your counselor. Do you have a counselor? And the reason I say that is because my mentors, uh, they don't look like me. My mentor, one, he's a retired chaplain from University Hospital. Uh, and I'll just say his name is Hank. And my other mentor, he is a Catholic priest, believe it or not. So, yeah.
That's good. Good. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but just I've never heard it articulated, and I think that it's good for us to even think about it. And a lot of things that you're saying, I like that you're putting verbiage to some things, questions that people may have in their minds, because I think when you hear someone say it, and especially someone that you respect, you give yourself permission to walk in that. So I appreciate you articulating those things. We got more into the mental health thing. I wasn't expecting that. I'm gonna have to have you back on so we can talk about that a little more. No, it's really, really good. And I love that you are so balanced and so practical, even though you have the spiritual side, but you're very practical in how to navigate through life in just very practical ways. I can appreciate that. Talk
Thank
about
you.
Watchman House. Tell us a little bit about how that started and what you specifically do with that organization.
Watchman House is an organization for just because we no longer use the term homeless. A lot of people still say homeless. That is not the correct term. It is displaced. So we service displaced and at-risk youth who have been abused, neglected, or just traumatized. And those are the children that we serve. We serve them in the schools. We serve them on the streets. We provide whatever they need. We provide food, clothing, assist them with shelter, shoes, hygiene supplies, and just basically what we ask the kid, what can I do for you? With nothing, no expectations in return. What can I do for you? And that's where we meet the need. We found that with Watchman House, we found that working through the schools, though, is the best way to serve displaced youth because a lot of schools are unaware of the amount of children and teens that are actually home displaced. And because when you ask
Wow.
the child, "Are you homeless?" they will say no. But then if you ask the question, "Do you have your own place to stay, or are you sleeping on a neighbor's couch, or are you sleeping in a car, or are you sleeping at the park bench?" And so you have to ask the specific questions if there are signs that the child is not being, say the child is not bathing and not demonstrating proper hygiene, wearing the same clothes. You need to ask targeted questions, not just are you homeless, because they'll say no.
Mhm. That's good. And you're fine. I know you said you mentioned going through the schools. One reason why we wanted to be able to um, be a part of and just kind of sew into what you all were doing is because you have found in the school systems, right? Even in Richmond County, that there are children who go to school really so they can eat, but they're homeless, they're displaced. Talk about the reality of that and how many schools you service.
We service quite a few schools here in Augusta. What we do is a lot of times we're contacted by teachers directly because even though teachers don't make a lot, they actually take care of the children out of their pockets. So we work directly with teachers. They call us or they send me an email through a website, and we provide what they need for the children. And then we're fortunate to be in I want to say four schools here in Augusta, but we are in schools in South Carolina and Florida as well. And so what we do is we work with the school social worker primarily to help with the kids because we are in schools in Atlanta, Stone Mountain. We're all over the place. But by working with the schools and the teachers, you can make sure what the kid that whatever the teen or the youth needs gets to the teen or the youth, and it makes them more accountable because the truancy rate among displaced youth and at-risk youth is very high. But when they know the only way they're going to come to school, if they don't go to school, they're not going to get the clothes, the food, or the hygiene supplies that they need. Because a lot of kids, believe it or not, from ages as young as 5 to 20 and 22, because once they age out of the foster system, they're dumped on the, unfortunately, they're dumped on the streets. They're out of the system. And so what they do is they trade their bodies for supplies like food, clothing, and just the basic necessities that we take for granted every day. So those are the things that we try to work through the schools, even the colleges. We have a college in Atlanta who one of the she was a former social worker for one of the schools, so she reached out to us and she said, "Hey, I got some kids there were paying their way through school, but they can't afford food and clothes." And one of the things we're adamant about at Watchman House is to provide either new or almost new clothing. And because me and my husband, we were both displaced as children. Like my mom raised me and my two brothers in one of my uncle's abandoned trailers for almost 3 years. So yeah, and so the only thing we had was a water hose that was connected to the building, to the trailer, and an extension cord from somebody else's house. And we lived in that condition for 3 years. And my
Wow.
husband, he's been on his own since he was 14 until his great grandfather, well, till his grandfather took him in off the streets because he was being abused by his stepdad.
My word. My word. So you can feel, see, sense where people are, no matter where they are in life. You
Yeah.
also, I also want to touch on this just a little bit. We don't have to go into this, but but you also have many gifts, but have a seer gift. How does that come into play when you're doing things for Watchman House or even counseling for that matter?
I love it for counseling because, when I'm working with a client and they're telling me what they want me to know, I'll I'll start targeting my questions on based on what I see, and then we get to the heart of the matter. Because a lot of times people are being in counseling for 20, 30 years. It really some people need that time, but some people, if you just get to the truth of the matter, you can start to heal a whole lot faster. So I do tend to use my seer gift in my counseling, and it works great for me when I'm working with the homeless or displaced, especially when those I'm driving along and you have those people that's on the corner with their sign. I know who to give it to and who not to give it to. Because I just look and I say, okay. And, or if I'd be like, hey, and then here you go. Or if I see somebody in the store,
Wow.
um, I'll give you an instant. There was a young lady. I was in the grocery store, not a grocery store. I was in a department store, and a young lady was counting out change to buy one pair of underwear. And so I was like, oh my, she's homeless.
Wow.
And people were getting irritated because she was counting out change to buy a pair of underwear, but they didn't understand that she had done a lot just to be able to afford a pair of underwear. And so when she left the store,
Yeah.
I hurried up and checked out and followed her. And I was like, hey, first of all, do you have a pimp who's assigned to you or you on your own? Because if she had somebody who was assigned to her, I know I needed to talk to her in the bathroom because time is money for her. And so I didn't want to get her
Mm.
in trouble. And because she was on her own, I was able to because I was able to recognize what was going on. Usually see her gift again and be like, oh, okay. Able to assist her and get her in the right direction.
I love, love, love that. Wow. Wow. There are so many, I'm thinking about so many things that I could talk about and so many rabbit trails we could go in, but I'm trying to keep this in the time that I told you, because obviously you're really, really busy. We know that. And I appreciate your time. We want to, of course, remind people about the all night prayer that's happening April 25th through 26th, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. at Macedonia Church of Augusta on Wrightsboro Road. And again, we are supporting some of the, we are going to give a donation, financial donation to Watchman House, which is why we are
Thank
talking
you.
to Dr. Parker Austin, Austin Parker, Parker Austin. I'm sorry.
No,
so
that was good.
just to wrap things up real quick, and then I'll have you just kind of encourage people and let them know how they can get in touch with you all if they want to give or if they want to support what you're doing at Watchman House. But talk about the significance of coming together, praying in unity, um, praying as a corporate body, and just kind of some insight that you have with that, because that's what we're going to be doing April 25th and 26th.
Well, matter of fact, in my devotional this morning, we tend to hear somebody say one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. But actually, when you look at that scripture in Leviticus, it says five can put 1,000 to flight, and 100 can put 10,000 to flight. So that you have to take that scripture in correctly, and that's the importance of coming together for corporate prayer, all night prayer, because especially with, again, we talked about the prayer watches early. The all night prayer covers some of those strategic prayer watch times that you say you're in intercession and you need to hear an answer. You want to be on target for that particular prayer watch. And not only that, you are sitting in a room with more than five. You've got 100 and so people or hundreds of people helping you to war on your behalf, and that is a fundamental bonus. That's like you got your own personal army when you come together in all night prayer. Who would miss all night prayer? That is such a targeted opportunity to just give the devil a black eye. So anytime you have all night prayer, they need to be on the door at 5:55 and say, "Come on in here." And one of the things about all night prayer, because I used to do all night prayer with prayer lock ins as an intercessory prayer leader, is I get hyped about 3 a.m. for it's like, yeah. And everybody's like, what is wrong with her? But it is like, I'm so excited because I know that the angels are on duty and we've got so many people in here praying. We are covering major territory. We're taking back authority. We're not victims. We are victorious. So coming together on this all night prayer on April 25, 26, you don't like what you seeing happening in our world? Kicking the doors and get into all night prayer and watch things change.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. I got to ask you this. One thing that is concerning to me, and I want you to speak to pastors and ministers, those who are over who are leading people, we have this all night prayer. We're praying, but then people go back to their normal routines. It is important, I think, to continue to keep that flame, fanning that flame of prayer. Allow this all night prayer to be a catalyst to kick you into something different. What can ministers, pastors do in a practical way in order to continue to fan that flame of prayer, even after the all night prayer?
Well, I will say it's hard to start a fire if you're not warm. It's like you can't start a fire on wet wood. Uh, and so a lot of times in ministry, we take a lot of beatings as pastors and ministers and leaders because you don't get to go to the altar call because the minute you go to altar call and you need prayer, they start looking at you or start asking questions like, "What's wrong? What happened?" All night prayer is such a good place to come and to have your fire reignited because it's hard to go. That's why a lot of people go back to the same old thing because if you look at prayer as a duty and an obligation rather than an opportunity to get in God's face and to let Him see you naked and unashamed. And like, here, God, here I am. I am overwhelmed. I'm frustrated. I'm aggravated. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. I've been betrayed. I've been lied on, talked about, all that good stuff. And you can come to all night prayer and have your flames stirred up, and God just minister to you personally because you can't minister to people because hurt people. And it's hard to minister to other people when you have nothing to give. And that's why we go back to the old, same old routine. You don't go into God's presence and come out the same way. There's absolutely no way you can do it.
Amen. I love, 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 love that. I've kept you a little longer than I should have, but I appreciate your graciousness and your time. Um, just want to ask you, are there any closing words that you'd like to say to those who are watching this? You will be watching this live or on the replay. Any words of encouragement you'd like to share?
I would just say if you're feeling overwhelmed, this is the time to get alone and get into God's face. And if you don't have time, all night prayer is a good time. You can turn your phones off, nobody can bother you. This is the time where you can get into a corporate setting where people are bombarding heaven. And a lot of times when we're praying for others, God will answer our own question. And so I would just encourage everybody to just press in and, just stop taking whatever the world is throwing at you. Get your authority back. It's time to hope again, time to dream again. We are in the best season of our lives. And people are like, how can you say that? Because of the stock market and what's going on in the world. But because I know who I am and whose I am, I understand. Greater is He that is in me than he is in the world. And when you go to all night prayer, you come out with that mentality like, I am not a victim. I am victorious. I will conquer whatever's before me because nothing, absolutely nothing can happen to me unless God gives permission. Let me take it on over to Job. And he said, God asked the devil, say, I can't do nothing with him because you got a hedge about him. He's got a hedge about every last one of us. So if anything is happening, that is only because God allows it. And if He allows it, that's the time to find out what am I supposed to learn in it. Because we are supposed to be getting better and not bitter. If we are bitter and we're coming away angry and we didn't get what we were supposed to get in that first lesson. And lessons that's not learned are doomed to be repeated. So get into all night prayer. Here's God's face. Press in. I'm telling you what, I would be hunting you down in the daytime with a flashlight. Say, Kim, when is the next prayer time? She's not telling me to hype it up, but I'm telling you, if I wasn't out of town, I'd be on her door. I'd be like, where you at? It's time to get in here. Because it's time to take back some territory that we lost. You people talk about racism is real and all this stuff, but you know what? When you got God's favor on you, even the racists have to be nice. when you, because I am a living witness. Matter of fact, we went to dinner on Sunday, and some people who were not exactly happy that brown people were sitting at their table ended up paying for us to get a birthday tree and pictures. How about that? That's God.
I love it. I want to scream over here. I love it. Yes.
And yeah, gotta do it. I'm telling you, you just stay in his face and you stay in his favor, and prayer is the place to do it. Prayer is your training grounds. We think church is the training ground, but no, it's in prayer. What we do in our closets, what we do in that personal time, because church was never meant to be a religious institution. It was meant to be a place of reconnecting you back to the ligament when you study it out. And so, if it's not reconnecting you back to the Father, yeah, then maybe you might need to get with the Father and find out what's going on. But this is the time to reconnect with God like never before, because again, I said we are in the best season, and I'm telling you, when the stock market is taking a beating, I don't know how, but I know who. I'm steadily getting notices from my some of my apps that say your stocks are increasing. You got this much deposit. I'm like, go, God, go.
I love it. That's right, though. When it's down, I mean, it's time to buy. I'm not telling anybody what to do, and I'm not a stock market guru, but that's what I've always heard. When the market drops, it's the best time to buy. So
yeah, but I'm not even buying. My stocks are just making money.
Wow.
I know, right? So like, what God do it?
We got to find out what sauce you working with over there.
I'm working with favor.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Thank you so much, Dr. Austin, for your time, for your pour, for your talent, for your wisdom. This has been a good conversation. It is too short, of course, so we are going to have you back at some point in time. But we are looking forward to being able to share with Watchman House financially after the all-night prayer is over, as people have an opportunity to give. But we wanted to make sure they knew what they were giving to. And so we'll also share that night some of the information and highlights that you mentioned even here. I'll get with you later so that I'll know exactly what to share with them. But we want to make sure that we are a blessing to you. Okay.
Yeah.
You all can go to the website.
Yeah, you can go to the website and just look under press releases, and you'll see some of our statistics of what we did last year and the last 2 years.
And the website is www.watchman.com. You can go there and follow them and get connected as well. And they can give directly on the website as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, all right, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Certainly appreciate you. Appreciate all of you all who are watching and who will watch on the replay. We thank you for your time. And we are going to say have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Dr. Austin. Talk soon.